Welcome to the Black Male Impact. Today we have as guest Mr. Ontario Tillman. Mr. Tillman, welcome to the Black Male Impact.
Hey, glad to be here, Doc. How's everything going?
Man, it's going pretty good. I'm just looking forward to jump into this conversation. And just to let the listeners know, Mr. Tillman is an attorney, and he's also the state representative for District 6 in
56.
Alabama. But before we get into the conversation itself, I will give Mr. Tillman the opportunity to talk more about himself. So you can get, or we can get, more knowledge of who he is before we get into the conversation. Mr. Tillman, please share with the listeners who you are before we get into this conversation.
Absolutely, Doc. I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show. I think you're doing a great thing with the Black Male Positive Impact. I love it. And my name is State Representative Ontario Tillman. I represent District 56, Doc. That's the area western side of Jefferson County, located in Alabama. I'm also a practicing attorney as well. I've been an attorney for the last 10 years, only in politics for a few years. So this is my second year. I was elected last year in the 2022 election. So I had an opportunity to win office, and I'm enjoying it thus far. Also, I was a high school teacher. I taught special education for 10 years, as well as coach basketball. So did a little bit of everything, Doc.
Well, that's great. But being that you have been in the classroom, being an attorney, and now representing in politics, that really gives, especially the younger Black males, an opportunity to see someone who they can be like, which is great, because it's always great to be a role model. Or we never know who is watching, and someone is always watching. So you have a rich background, your experience, especially in the classroom, because that's one place that they say they need more Black men. And to know that you had the experience and being an attorney, and now representing Alabama in politics, that's in itself is inspirational. But I'm going to go into the conversation that we're here to have today, and I'm going to start off with this question: what is the mindset that it takes to make a positive impact?
I think you have to have the want to, Doc. I think you have to have the ability to care about more people or care about other people than yourself. And I think a lot of time that is missing about how we do things now. I'm glad that you said role model early. I take that seriously because I want young people to see themselves in me. Because growing up, my family, my uncles, different sports people, they were my role models. And I wanted to be like my uncles. I wanted to do a lot of the things that they did growing up because they inspired me. So when I had the opportunity to go to school, I wanted to be in the classroom. I wanted to coach guys. I wanted to have a direct impact on those players, on those students from a different perspective. And then when I decided to become a lawyer, I decided to say, okay, let me go and represent people who look like me, people who face troubling situations, tough situations in the courtroom, and they need people to stand by them that understand where they're coming from. They understand what they're going through. And my voice speaking to that is a little different. And I took pride into doing that, and I wanted to do that. But in politics, the same thing. I grew up in politics. Grandmother, she was huge in grassroots, and she always talked about the people. It's always about other people, not yourself. Because I believe as a community, we get better when all of us are doing better instead of just a few.
Correct. And, I really like your response in regards to positive impact, that it's important that we want to, because in life, there will be challenges and there will be obstacles and sometimes setbacks. And if you don't really want to make a difference, want to do what you say you're going to do, those challenges will deter you. So you have to want to. So that's a really great perspective or mindset to have, because on this journey, you will be tested, but it's the persons or people who really want to do the work will fight through the challenges to make the difference that they want to make. So I really appreciate that perspective because I think it's important as we go forward.
And it comes with the territory, Doc. It's what you sign up for.
Correct.
You can't sign up for something and then start complaining about it once you get it. This is part of it. I tell people all the time, you cannot be a coach and have thin skin. You cannot be an attorney and have thin skin. And you definitely cannot be a politician and have thin skin, because people will say things. You will face challenges, but it's how you respond. Knowing the reason why I'm here. The reason why I'm here is to help the people in my community. That's it. And I can deal with the things that come my way as long as it benefits everyone.
Man, that is very, very important and a great reminder to all of us, especially as Black men who decide to make a difference, that we can't show up with thin skin, because
Not at all.
people are going to say some things that we may not like, and
Yes,
it's always how we respond to what people are saying. Or sometimes we don't even have to respond
not at all.
because people are going to have an opinion, and they're entitled to their opinion. So I really, I really appreciate that perspective and reminder. And that leads me to my next question. What advice do you have for the men listening and how they can play a role in creating positive change?
I do believe that the men in our community need to reclaim the role of leaders in our community, showing up and letting people know that I'm here. I care about my community. I care about the people in it. I also care about my kids. I care about my family members, and assuming those leadership roles. It can be something as simple as start going to your city council meetings, start going to your town hall meetings, start being more concerned about your community. As I tell my constituents and people all the time, if you don't care about your community, why should anyone else? So you have to start caring. And once you start caring, figure out different ways in your community where a need is, and address the need. If more men are needed in the school system, on your days off, on your lunch breaks, go to the school system, go to the classrooms, walk around the school, get to know the teachers, get to know the students in there. Go to your local rec centers, go to your local youth sports leagues, attend those different functions where there will be other men, and encourage those guys to say, okay, man, participate with me in doing this. We do something kind of similar. We do a barbershop talk where we have Black men that come in and sit down, and we just have an open discussion. And we'll allow them the opportunity to really express themselves, where they don't really get a chance to do that elsewhere, and understand that, look, we can do this, but we have to do it together, because you need every walk of life. You need every profession. You need every career, every job in order to make things better. Not one person is bigger than the other. What's the goal? The goal is to be productive, be leaders in our community, and make sure that we have safe, secure communities where our kids can grow up and have the type of life that they need.
Man, that is so profound and needed to be said, because especially in the part where you mentioned that as Black men, we need to reclaim the leadership roles.
Yes.
And if we're going to make a difference, and if we're going to change the narrative, if we're going to create a positive impact, we have to see the need to be leaders. We
Yes.
have to step up. We have to do what needs to be done. And I also like where you share that we need to look and see what's needed and fill those gaps. Because we can complain as much as we want,
Yes.
but there's always something that we can contribute to our communities. And if we're going to complain and do nothing, there's no reason to complain. So
Absolutely.
it's a great reminder, especially on reclaiming the leadership roles within our communities. I think
Yes.
that will not only change the perspective of the youth Black males coming up, but it would also change the perception that community members have of us as Black men.
Yes, because reasonable people can sit down, we can agree, we can disagree. But
Correct.
it's the reasonableness of it. It's the logic of it. It's what is going to benefit the next generation. And young boys need to see that from their men. They
Correct.
need to see that. They need to see, okay, I want to be like this guy because I can touch him. I can see him. It's great to have sports role models as people that you want to aspire to be. But the guy you see walking around your neighborhood who's doing something positive each and every day, that's somebody you can aspire to be. The guy who takes time in making sure that his grass is cut,
Yeah.
making sure his house is clean. Those are things that we kind of like just overlook. But to me, it's about the details. That's how you grow. That's the discipline. That's the discipline that we need to start instilling back into our kids that men will do. We have to take some of the burden off our women. Our women are doing a lot. And it's time for us to step back up and say, look, you know what, lady, let us do this. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to operate. And this is how we need to move forward. Because once we have a team full of men, that's a powerful thing to have. That's a powerful sight to see. And everyone needs to see that.
Yeah. I strongly believe. I remember when I took a group of college males to Chicago, and
Mhm.
we stopped in a restaurant. I tell you, the people in the restaurant, they were like praising these young men because they said, man, we haven't seen this. This is so powerful. These guys were in as future teachers. And
Yes.
man, it was just a sight to see. But what was even more impressive, it's how the people respond
Reactive. Yeah.
to
And that's what you
to
want.
oh yeah, because I think
Mhm.
that is important because that gives them a different perspective on
Mhm.
what they may have heard or what they may have seen over and over. And to see young men or black men show up in a way, in a positive way, it does something incredible positive to the community because it change or gives a different perspective from what we hear a lot of times.
Yes, and then allows the kids to know and see that
Correct.
none of us are perfect. We all have flaws. We all have fallen short. But
Correct.
it's how did you respond to those failures? How did you respond to those challenges? And people need to see that because another young man may be going through the same thing. So they
Correct.
can lean on you for advice. Those are the point of having those role models, to have the people who have experience,
Correct.
who know, hey, look, I traveled down this road, young fella, listen to me. I'm telling you, this is what's going on. And those things are invaluable.
And I think that is really important and a great reminder for all of us here on the journey and how
Mhm.
important it is for us to show up and show up with the knowing that we are being looked at by
Mhm.
others. So how we show up really matters. And that leads me
Mhm.
to my next question. How
Mhm.
can we as Black men help to change the narrative today? I know you kind of touched on it just now on how we show up and just to be a great representation of ourselves. But
Mhm.
how can we as Black men help to change the narrative?
First, we definitely need to do it by action. See, to me, men, anything you're dealing with men is about action.
Correct.
It's about action is based upon evidence, it's based upon information, it's based upon facts. We don't need to have, okay, well, we feel this and we feel that. No, we need to think this, we need to believe this, our position is this. And we need to really eradicate the propaganda that has been spewed throughout news media, throughout social media about us and our behavior. We need to start taking pride in what we do because we it's a collective. Each person brings something different to the table. Take pride in what you're doing. Take pride in how you look. Take pride in how you dress. Take pride in everything that you do, how you speak, how you carry yourself. Take pride in that and put forth that so they can see this is the ideal of this type of man. And it doesn't matter how you're dressed. You are a man. Be a man, stand up, hold yourself accountable, understand that this is part of it. This is part of it. You're not going to receive the praise all the time. You're
Correct.
not going to get the congratulations all the time, or as the young people like to say, you're not going to get your flowers all the time, which you probably should. But it's not about that. It's about the legacy that you leave once you leave this world. Did I leave my family in a better place than before me? Did I leave my community in a better place, but before me? And that's what we have to start doing. But it's about action. It's about changing the narrative. It's about getting rid of the propaganda. It's about having people like you who have these positive platforms, who are talking about things, who are talking to different men. I watched a number of your interviews, and I love everything that you're doing. And I love hearing perspective from each and every different Black man to say, look, it's not a cookie cutter thing. Everyone can do it different. But if I can come down, I can talk to you about it, and I can say, okay, I see why he's doing this. And I support this man, I support this Black man, and I'll help him in any way possible, because that's really what it's about. It needs to find this initiative, support this person initiative, and get behind them wholeheartedly and say, hey man, this is what it is. But when it's time to be critical of each other, do it behind closed doors. Don't do it out here in the public. Be a man. Hey man, let's talk about this. Hey, I don't like how you did this. I don't like how you did this. This right here wasn't right. Why did you do this? And you have the conversation. You shake hands, you move on, and we live to fight another day. But when you online making these comments, when you in the news media making these comments, do that. You're like, come on, man, take that off this. People don't need to see that. People don't need to see that. You don't have husband and wives out here arguing and everyone say, well, nowadays all over social media, but we don't need to do that. We need to address issues as men in a conversation and then move forward from it. If I don't like what you did, I need to come and tell you. I don't need to put it on social media. Hey man, I hate what Dr. Cross did. He did this and that. No, man, pick up the phone and call Dr. Cross. You need to know what he's thinking. You need to know why he did this. And then once you guys have a conversation, you can agree to disagree and just move on. I don't have to hate you about it. I don't have to dislike you about it. I don't like what happened. But it doesn't change everything else that you have done positive. It doesn't change everything else you have done that was good. And I think we kind of get caught up in that mess.
Man, that's a great reminder. Because if we are going to bring each other down, then what that's going to do for us, it's not doing anything, but it
No.
helps to cement the false narrative that has been
Yes.
created about us. So, and I
Yes.
like what you said, it's up to us to eradicate the propaganda. And we do that by the actions we take, the things that we do daily that's different from the false narrative that have been socially constructed about us. And if we don't do it, and what we have to realize, it's not even what positions you hold, what
Yes.
job you have, how much money you have, none of that matters. And because
No.
you are Black and you are a Black male, you show up in some places, and if they don't know you, they're going to look at you or look at us the same way. The positions, the money, none of that matters. So it's
Yes,
important.
because we're too quick to get angry at each other. We're too quick to get angry at another person that look like me. I should have more tolerance with you. I should have more understanding with you. I should be able to say, hey man, what's going on, brother? Like, why you came at me like this? Why you said this to me? Why did you do this? Because I'm not liking it. I wasn't feeling that. However the conversation want to go. But we should be able to do that, because we're too quick to say, okay, forget this guy, F this guy, F this. We got to get past that, because like you said, we're feeding into that stereotype. We're feeding into that false narrative. And then first thing they're going to say, see, look, this is how they go. This is what they're doing. Instead of finding brothers who are out here doing something positive, you won't see that. You're not going to show that on television, because now it's starting to, it eradicates the propaganda. People start saying, okay, well, what about these guys over here? They're doing something different. Why are you not showing them more so? Because it's not drama. It's no interest there, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. But we want to live in the reality TV world. We want to live in the social media world. And we want to live with the clickbaits and the different stuff of that nature, instead of saying, okay, man, these guys having a great conversation. They listen to them. I may learn something from them. These guys coming from different perspectives. These guys a finance person. These guys a banker. This guy right here is a lawyer. This guy right here, owns his own company. You learning from all of that, because now I may want to do that. Now, if I have business, that's the first person I'm gonna call.
Correct.
That's who I'm gonna network with. I'm gonna network with him, so we can all benefit from this.
And as you said that, I was thinking about this morning asking the question, why do we focus more so on the negative than
Hmm.
the positive? And but it
Yes,
goes back to what you just said about changing the narrative. We have to take charge of
yes,
what we put out and what we do, especially when it comes to us, and have to be mindful of how we're treating each other and what we're saying about each other publicly. Because
yes,
that only, man, sometimes you be wondering why we sometimes have to be tearing down each other.
yes.
I, I,
And we
you know,
should.
it's mind-boggling sometimes just to hear and see what we're
Hmm.
doing to each other. And while others are making progress, it seems as if we are still staying stagnant. Because when you look at some of the questions that were asked many years ago, more than 20 years ago, we still have to be asking those questions today.
Today.
So I think we have to get to a point where we realize that if things are going to change, we have to change it. And we change it, as you
Yes.
mentioned, by the actions we take and the picture we paint of us. Because if we don't paint the picture, who is going to paint it?
Exactly. And we do not want someone else to tell our story. I grew up in an era, Doc, where, guys got to fighting and we shook hands, we moved on. We
Yes.
had older guys say, let them fight. It was a straight up fight. They got it done. Hey, shake hands, y'all move on. It's over. There's no retaliation. There's no, let me go out here and do this. There were rules to this, and men established those rules. And now we have allowed a lot of different factors to affect us. And now we got to get back to that. We got to get back to that leadership. We got to get back to all of that and reclaim our positions.
Man, I think that is important. And I will just say this from what you said, that we need to practice more and is to have tolerance or more tolerance with each other because we should
Yes,
understand our struggles. We should understand
yes,
what we are dealing with. We should understand that to get to a certain level of success is not always the easiest. So we should have the tolerance and understand each other and be able to talk
yes.
with each other about what we are going through. And that leads me to my next question. I know you have shared different experiences that you have had
Hmm.
over the years in different positions and have served in different roles. But what or who has inspired or influenced you to pursue the path that you're on? You can start with where you are right now, or you can start
Hmm.
when you were in the classroom as a teacher. But you can share who have inspired you to pursue the positions or roles that you have served in up until this point.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. As far as politics are concerned, my grandmother, my mom, when she was alive, she used to joke with me all the time, saying that I was a baby on a picket line with my grandmother because she was out protesting. She believed in grassroots. She believed in that. So we worked on various campaigns. I actually worked on the campaign for the seat that I currently hold, and that is because of her. Because she had me out there, I was able to see these men running for these particular positions and then actually winning these particular positions. And I'm seeing that and I'm saying, man, this is what I want to do. And when it came to being a teacher, my uncle attended Alabama A&M University, and my uncle attended Alabama A&M University. My uncle was a special education teacher. I became a special education teacher because that's what I saw. I saw him doing that and I wanted to be like him. I had a number of uncles, and I thought all of them were cool. All of them were different in different aspects, and they showed me different things about life. And I played golf to this day with my uncle. That's my golfing partner. It's just me and him sometimes, and we do it all the time because those guys were the men in my life that I looked up to. And then I started noticing guys outside the community. I started noticing different people on television. I started noticing lawyers, and I started saying, okay, every congressperson that I saw or that I see, most of the time they're attorneys. So I'm thinking, like, is that the way that I need to do this? And then I started looking at it from a different perspective, saying that, okay, I see people in courtroom, but I don't see a lot of Black representation.
Wow.
What do I need to do to help this? What can I do to help this? So when my family members start having different issues with the law, and I'm thinking to myself, like with my brother when he was alive, and my mom said it before I passed, your brother would be your first client. And that was true.
Wow.
And he really was. And he was my first client even before I became an attorney. I was in court standing with him and speaking on his behalf to let him know that he came from a good family. He came from this. This is what's going on. And she told me, she said, that was going to be your first client. And I never knew that or ever understood that. So from that point, I take it personal when I'm in court representing people. I want to make sure that I provide the best representation possible. So I saw how all of that, those different issues kind of transpire, and I wanted to help. I truly believe in the man in the arena. I don't want to stand on the sideline. It's easy to sit in the stands and criticize and say what people not doing. Come down here. Let me see you down here, in the arena, down here putting up the good fight. Now we can talk. Now we can have this conversation, but don't sit up there and where it's safe. Come down here and put some skin in the game. Come down here and let's work. So now you understand this is not easy. As the young people say, this is not sweet down here.
That's
It's
great.
hard. It's a lot of work. It's tough. You got to be able to do this. It's different things you have to deal with. You will be challenged in ways that you just don't even know, whether it's intellectually, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. You have to deal with all of those different things. And seeing those different issues, I said, you know what, man? I can't sit on the sideline. I got to do something. So let's get out here and let's do it.
Man, just listening to the people who have influenced you and just your experience, but all the different roles that you have served, one thing that really stood out is that you're someone who wanted to serve,
Hmm.
because that's the crux of all the roles that you have, or positions that you have been in, to serve people, from being in
Yes.
the classroom, as an attorney, and now as a state representative,
Hmm.
serving the people. And as you mentioned, representation matters,
Hmm.
because, again, the people who you are serving needs to have someone there that they think they can trust, for
Yes,
first and
absolutely.
foremost,
Yeah.
which is really, important, especially when you're serving or serving others, because it makes that connection becomes easier. And it's just great at times to talk with someone who may have a better understanding of who you are from the classroom or in the community. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I think the representation matters. But as you go back to, your experience with, your grandmother, and to be in the position that you have been there all the younger years, and now
Hmm.
being in that position, that must be a great feeling, knowing, how far you're coming from.
Yes.
Especially when I can just imagine when you're telling the story about, the position that you're in as a state representative, to be out there as a child, that must
Yes.
be very inspirational,
It's a
especially to others.
it's a different feeling, Doc. It's a surreal feeling. And it really kind of hits you when I was out campaigning, when I was out meeting people, and I met people that knew my grandmother. I met people that knew my mom, and to see their reaction to me as if I were their grandchild, as if I were their son, as if I were their nephew, that does mean it's a different feeling. It's a feeling of pride. It's a feeling of home. It's a feeling of community, that I'm out here doing something positive for the masses of people. And I come from these people. So
Right.
it's not like I'm from the outside coming in. No, I come from these people. So when these people see me, first thing they want to say, okay, I know his family. He come from good stock. He come from this. And that means to me, that means more than anything to me. When I decided to run for office, my entire hometown, family members, friends, they got behind me, and they made running for office a lot easier. Along with my wife, along with my kids, they made it a lot easier to do this, and it just felt right. It felt right. It felt like I was doing the right thing, and I wanted to be here to serve, because it's not a burden on me. Because again, I signed up for it.
Yeah.
Comes with the territory, so I can't sit here and complain and cry. No, man, get out here and do the job. Nobody want to hear that. That's what they want to hear. What you going to do? Get
I
out here
think,
and work.
yeah, I think that is important. But as I said, when you're doing something that you love, even when it comes with a demand, you still look forward to doing it because
Yes.
you're doing something that you love. But it's just great just hearing, your experience prior to the position that you hold right now, knowing
Hmm.
that you have been there, gaining the experience by
Hmm.
observing, by being out there when you were much younger in life. So, man, that's just great to hear your experience. But that leads me to my next question. What is
Hmm.
your perspective on the current climate of Black
Hmm.
men in society today?
Well, I do think that we have a negative connotation to Black men in this society today. And I think it's all by design. I think it all goes back to the propaganda. Instead of showing Black men in a positive light, we don't want to do that. We rather show the negativity, we rather show the violence, we rather show all of the things that every other race, every other group of people go through. It's just that it's not highlighted as much. It's not as seen as much. But for us, it's more or less used for entertainment. And that's a problem. It's a problem that I have because it shouldn't be out there for entertainment. Violence is violence. That's a serious issue. People are losing their life, not just the person that's killed, the person who actually did the killing is probably losing their life by going to prison for the rest of their life. Too many families are being affected right there. I'm standing on the side with defense, and their family is being just as impacted as the victim's family. And to try to walk that line is very difficult because I do have empathy for what their family is going through, but also have a job to do over here as well. And that's where the reasonableness come in there. When I have some of the most important things, when I have clients who dads are prevalent in their lives, and they'll say, "Hey, son, look, it is what it is right now. This is what you got to do. This is how you have to do it," and that strengthens that child, even though they're going through that situation. That man is still there, regardless. He's still there telling you, "Son, I got you. This is what you got to do. You got this. You got to deal with the consequences. You got to be held accountable. It is what it is. You got to go through it." That means a lot to me because now I'm even fighting even more to see what can I do. Can I get something better? Can I get something more? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I don't mind doing that because I understand what is at stake here. So we have to change the narrative about what we do. We have to see more shows like yours. We have to see this. This stuff need to be highlighted. Like this stuff need to be everywhere. So people would know that, hey man, we got men out here in every walk of life. It doesn't matter. Like we said earlier, it doesn't matter what your position is in life. It doesn't matter what you do in life. It doesn't matter how you dress. It doesn't matter. None of those things. Are you positive or not? Do you care about your community or not? Are you here for the uplifting of the entire community, not just a few? And we have to get past that and start saying, let's do this as a collective. We do it as a team, we can get more.
And that is really powerful and a profound reminder because we have to get involved.
Mhm.
Because yes, we know there is a negative connotation when it comes to us as Black men, and we
Mhm.
must be intentional, as you mentioned, in
Mhm.
painting that picture, that positive picture when it comes to us as Black men. Again, no one is going to do it for us. We
Nobody.
have to do it for ourselves. We have to get
Mhm.
out there. We have to do it. We have to do it. We have to do it. We just have to do the work
Yes.
necessary and support
And
the
yes,
positive work.
because we have to understand that it's a it's almost like a shotgun effect. We need people in every walk of life. We got to understand that policy is very important. That's another reason why I wanted to be, a public figure and represent the people. I wanted to be down, sitting at the table, to try to craft and draft policy that directly impacts my community. And that is the quickest way that you would get anything done. So when we see these positions available, run for these positions. Challenge it. If you lose or win, it doesn't matter. It's the challenge of it to show, like, look, I'm here. When I decided to run for office, I looked at it as I was playing sport. you're not going to outwork me. And
That's
I
right.
wasn't going to let you outwork me. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. It wasn't going to outwork me. You probably would have won. I don't know. But you wasn't going to outwork me. So when you at home sleeping, I was going to be out working. When you not thinking about working, I was going to be thinking about working.
Right.
I was out putting signs out on the side of the road with a suit on. It didn't matter. People like, hey man, you out here doing this suit on? I said, yeah. They were like, why? Because I want to win.
That's right.
Period. There's no second place with this.
Right.
So the ideas that I have, if I lose, my ideas at home. So let me get out here and be able to put forward the ideas here now, and let's have this argument, let's have this debate, and let's see if we can change policy to make it better for everyone.
Man, and that's important. And as Black men, we have to do the work and be willing to do the work and work
Mm-hmm.
more if needs be. And
Yes.
we can't complain if we have to do more, because as there is a common saying that we have to work twice as hard.
Yes.
So even if we don't necessarily have to work twice as hard, I think
Mm-hmm.
having that mindset to go the extra mile should
Yes.
be a part of who we are, because again, we're always representing ourselves first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost. So it's important that if a work requires that we go the extra mile, we go it. And even if it doesn't
Yeah.
require that we go the extra mile,
Still
we
go.
go the extra mile, because again,
Still go.
oh yeah, we're representing ourselves every time, everywhere. And
Yeah.
again, we never know who is watching, because just as the person saw you in the suit putting up the flyer, they would say, "Man, why are you out here doing?" But you have an objective. You want
Mm-hmm.
to accomplish something, and if it requires being out there doing the work, that's what it takes.
That's what it takes, because it's unfortunate that that's the narrative, that we have to work twice as hard to receive, the same thing. But this is the position that we're in, and sometimes we have to fight from the position that we're in, and we have to be able to change that later. We have to change that for the next generation. We have to change that for the generation after that generation, so they won't have to do that. But it takes the same sweat, the same work that our forefathers did. That's why we standing on their shoulders. The work, being out here in the street protesting, being out in the street fighting for civil rights, being out in the streets doing all those things so we can have these opportunities to do this. So why squander that opportunity? Why not do the same? Why not make it better for the next generation, not yourself? Make it better for the people that are coming behind you.
I think that is important. We have to build a foundation and create a legacy. And
Mm-hmm.
because again, we're not only changing our community minds or
Mm-hmm.
just Black people minds, we are giving other people, other race, other ethnic group a different perspective of who
Mm-hmm.
we are. Because what we have to understand, everyone have been conditioned, just as how they have been conditioned, we have been conditioned, and we may see
Mm-hmm.
ourselves in a certain light, they may see us in a certain light, and we have to help them to have a different perspective of us while we're helping our own have a different perspective of us. So
Yes,
it's, we're dealing with it on both sides. It's like we have to, as they said, those who become conscious have to help the unconscious to become conscious. So
conscious. You're right.
it's the same thing.
You're right. It's sort of like how the old people used to say, it's not. It doesn't matter what they call you; it's what you answer to.
Correct, correct.
So, and that's when you have to figure out, what am I willing to answer to around here? What I want you to call me, because I'm going to dictate that. You're not going to just say anything to me. I'm going to dictate this to you.
Correct.
And that's what we have to start doing. That's where becoming a man is more important. That's the first thing you are. Hey, you're a man. You're a Black man. Understand that. So
Yeah,
some things should be non-negotiable.
correct.
Period. Should be non-negotiable. And we need to have that same attitude.
That is really important. And that ties into my next question
Mhm.
perfectly. What change do you want to see in general and amongst Black men?
Yes, I really do want us to, like I said from the beginning, is to reclaim our position as leaders in our communities and leaders in every walk of life. I want us to do that. I want us to be more intentional with our community, more intentional with our kids in raising that issue and making sure that we are setting everything up for the next generation. And a lot of time, oftentimes, that's kind of lost in the shuffle because we become more individual based. And I can understand why. I understand why you want to do that, and I can see why. But we still have to have a greater purpose, a greater cause, and I think we need to stick to that. And I think that if we start doing that by changing the narrative of how Black men operate, how Black men do different things in their community, it'll start shifting because it's out there. It's out there. It may not be, the light may not be as bright on it, but it's our job to start shining more bright lights on it, listening to different people in every, different podcasts I listen to, listening to those Black men articulate different issues and talk about different issues and learning stuff from economics, from politics, from policy, learning that stuff and then understanding like, hey, this is what we have to do. Being able to sit down and read this book and having new information that would now change your position. Now it would give you a different perspective on things because again, we don't know it all. This is why you have people that you can sit around and talk. This is why you have advisors. This is why you have friends that you can sit down and have conversations with. Like, man, how can we do this? How can we do this together? What can we do to change this? And when you have guys on the same accord, man, it's an unbelievable thing to see.
I really like that response because the way forward, the way to
Mhm.
change or challenge the false narrative or the stereotypes or labels
Mhm.
is for us to work together. And as you
Yes.
mentioned, that if we're on one accord, great things can happen. Man,
Mhm.
sometimes when you sit and think about the challenges that the Black community have overcome to be
Mhm.
in this position today,
It's an
uh,
awesome feat.
it, it is, man. It's like it gives you like extra drive to
Yes.
go, to press forward. Because if they could have overcome
Mhm.
such atrocity
Mhm.
to be in the position that they were able to accomplish, we today
Mhm.
are in better positions because of what they have
Because
been
of that.
through and fight through. So we could have certain things that's better today. That
Yes.
in itself is motivation. But as you mentioned, that we have to work together. And when we come across people who share that perspective and can be on one accord, man, great things can happen.
Exactly, Doc. And that, like you said, that is a awesome undertaking. And people really don't understand that. It's that old adage, people ask if you can pick, five people to have dinner with, who would those five people be? Me personally, I want to have dinner with my ancestors. I want to talk to my great great granddad. I want to talk to my great 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 granddad. I want to talk to those people. I want them to see what their great 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 grandson is today. And it's because of people like that, what they went through to get us here. Because I want to know what it is from people that the bloodline that I came from. I want to understand that. I want to understand what you went through. And I want to see that. And I think that it's unfortunate because you didn't have that opportunity to grow up. Some people do had the opportunity to grow up with their great granddads and great great grandfathers. I would have loved that because I would want to know, tell me how your childhood was, tell me how it was growing up in this era, having to fight these different issues, having to deal with those different issues. How did you navigate that? And to look at how things are today, like you said, it's nothing short but awesome, not nothing short but remarkable.
Oh yeah, it is it's just amazing to once you start to get an understanding of
Hmm.
their experience, man, it just empowers you. And I really like this time of the year. I really take the time to really dive in and watch and listen to
Hmm.
some of their experiences and just to, feel more empowered and
Yeah.
just to know that, look, the effort is not in vain because
No.
their legacy, we are benefiting today. So whatever
Yes.
legacy you create will benefit those who are coming behind you. So
Yes.
continue. And we always need, that type of reminder. And we can do it for ourselves. We can immerse
Hmm.
ourselves ourselves in the work that will empower us. And that is something that
Hmm.
we have to do. We can't wait for people to say, oh, you need to read that or listen to that. Those are things that, we can do on our own to
Yes.
make sure we're empowered to lead current and future generation. So, man, it's important, that we align ourselves with individuals as well who realize the importance of doing this work so we
Hmm.
can move forward stronger. And that leads me to my next question, which is a little bit different from the direct questions about what we can do as Black men.
Hmm.
But what was a pivotal moment in your life?
Oh man, it was several, dog. I can honestly say that it's a lot of different things that kind of changed my perspective. Whether if it was a tragic situation or even if it was a positive situation, and I really do believe having the opportunity to attend college gave me a different perspective and allowed me to develop more tools because education is a tool. It's not the end all be all, but it is a tool
Correct.
to use to open up a new door. And that's how I really looked at it. And once I did that to actually go to law school and to attend law school and to graduate and pass the bar exam and graduate and start practicing law. And I saw how things kind of open up, start really opening up, and I started to look at things a little differently. And I had a different perspective on things. And to now to sit and be a member of the Alabama House of Representatives is like I said is a great feeling to do that as well. So now I'm in a position to draft policy. I'm in a position to debate, political issues, to debate policy, to change something that I know will have a negative or a positive impact on my community. And being one of those voices at the table is a great position to actually be in. So I think those things kind of opened up the door and kind of gave me a different perspective on things. And then even losing my brother a couple of years ago, losing my mom in 2017, losing my grandmother in college, both parents, and to go through that experience and not wanting to quit, not wanting to stop, wanting to continue to move forward because I know this is something that they wanted for me as well, and to continue to do that, continue to be out here on the front line, doing it from a different position. Because my grandmother was always the person that helped the candidate. She was never the candidate, but now for her grandson to be the candidate,
That's right.
that's a different thing. And then for the same people to help me, I can't thank those people enough. From my campaign team, from the voters, from the people that I didn't even know that supported me. I cannot thank those people enough. And I wear it as a sense of a badge of honor and sense of pride because I want to make sure that I make them proud of me, even though I know I'm not going to do everything perfect, even though I know I'm not going to do everything right. But it's the fact of I'm out here trying. I'm out here doing it. Like MJ said, you miss every shot that you don't try.
That's
So
right.
I got to shoot the ball.
And that's important. But first, my condolences for your losses and stuff like that, especially when you're in the process of becoming who you want to become.
Yes.
It can be a challenge as you go through to deal with or grieving on the
Hmm.
journey. So my condolence to you for, as
Thank you,
we
Doc. Thank you.
been through that experience, and to lose experience, it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm
Yeah, I
still
know it's
fortunate.
different.
Yeah, I'm still
Yes.
fortunate to have both parents, but when you hear stories from people,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how old you get, your parents are your parents.
Yes.
So, you're still
So
gonna
my
have some grief,
yeah.
dealing with, especially if you had good relationships
Yeah.
with them. So
Yeah,
it's
my dad, he and I, we still talk and we still have a good time. And I told him, I say, hey, you still here with me, so let's keep it going.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. But as you shared, your pivotal moments, as you mentioned, with going to college,
Hmm.
really, gave you a broader perspective on
Hmm.
life. And everyone have different experiences that really help to position them or provide pivotal moments on their journey. But sometimes those experiences really give us the opportunity either to dive deeper into what we want to do and also strengthen us on the journey
Yes.
to do the work that we feel compelled to do. But it's great hearing your experiences and how those experiences impacted your life and the decisions that you have made and still making as you continue to serve your community. And that leads me to my next question.
Mhm.
What life lesson have you learned late in life that you believe is important and can benefit this current generation?
Oh man, that's a great question, Doc. I think that the life lesson that I've learned thus far is that you you have to understand circumstances and situations, and you have to base your responses off evidence, of facts, of logic, and make the best decision. I think that we have to remove the feeling aspect from a lot of different things when it comes to reason and things of that nature, especially as men. It's okay in certain arenas, it's okay in certain areas to have those feelings, but I think that what we have to understand is how to process information, how to respond to the information that we're receiving, and what's the best move forward. I think a lot of times, we look at it because with me, it's a solution thing. Like, okay, this happened. Okay, what's next? I made, even when I was coaching, for example, when I was coaching, here's the game plan. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play. But the moment the ball is in the air, things change. Hey, forget everything that we had to do earlier. Let's figure out something else. Here's the pivot. This is the change, and let's get it done. And I think that is very important of leaders, and that's what we are as men. We are leaders, and we need to understand that sometimes the plan may not go as according to plan. As a lot of coaches used to say, you want to kind of stay on schedule, but sometimes you had to get off schedule. How do you get back on it? Making that move to be more flexible, making that move to modify it, but making that modification based upon new information, new evidence, new facts, new circumstances. So now you're making the best possible decision instead of making a decision based upon an emotional reaction, which can lead you into more trouble, which can lead you into dire circumstances, which we don't need. Let's make a rational decision. Let's understand why this person, let me not result to this emotional based reaction to where now I've done something that I wish I want to take back, and that it's too late at that point,
Right.
so we need to do that more. And I think seeing that now and being, somewhat of an older statesman, I can kind of understand that a lot better now.
And I think life sometimes teaches you things that we sometimes don't even know that we need to learn that we can teach
Mhm.
to others. As you
Yes,
mentioned, sometimes we have to be more flexible and to make sure that we're not making decisions from emotional standpoint.
yes.
Because that sometimes we have to make some things pass first before we
Mhm.
make a decision. And I think that is a great reminder because life is going to happen, and things
Yes,
are not always going to go as planned. And sometimes we have to really sit back and really think about what's happening, and not just make a decision in that moment when what is happening that's going on that we didn't really plan for,
mhm.
because things are going to happen that we don't have control over. But to make a
Yes,
decision in that moment can really, mess things up, as you mentioned. So it's important that we kind of think about some of the things that is happening and give ourselves some grace in the moment,
yes.
so we
We
can,
definitely need it.
oh yeah, so we can make the best decisions. Although we don't know, we're making these
Yeah,
decisions, things can still go south,
yeah.
they'll normally say. But it's important, as you mentioned, that we need to be flexible, especially if we get new information, new understanding as we
Mhm.
continue on this journey forward. So, my next question before I ask my final question,
Okay.
where can the listeners find you and support the great work that you're doing to make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I have my campaign page, which is the Ontario J. Tillman, state representative for District 56 in Alabama. We post a lot. We post a lot of information. We post a lot of different events and different things coming up. Right now, we are in legislative session for the 2024 year. We have a ton of information that's coming about, a ton of legislation from gaming, from school choice, different things of that nature is coming up, even down to some criminal reforms and something, along with that. So I think that's the best way to find me. I'm on different social media. You can just look me up by my name. I don't really have a lot of fancy hashtags, but it just, Ontario Tillman. You'll find me on Facebook. You'll find my campaign page. I will employ everyone to go and like it and kind of follow it and kind of support the different things that we're trying to do in the community. And if they do have any ideas, I'd love to debate on different issues and have conversations because, again, I don't know it all. So if you have some information that you can provide to me that will make me better and that would that would benefit the constituents that I serve, I'm all for it. And I really, I appreciate, this opportunity, Doc. I really do.
Oh man, thank you. And I will definitely put ways to connect with you in the
Mhm.
description, so they can support the work. And I've checked out the work that you're doing, man, and you're doing great work,
Thank you, Doc.
connecting with the community. And I think that is important, because once the community loves you, that says a lot. Um,
Yes,
so it's important that we support the work so the work can be continued, because it's one thing to start doing good work and then you don't get the opportunity to continue to do good work.
yes. And that's
So
what you
it's
have to do.
it's 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 important that
Mhm.
people support what you're doing. So I'll definitely be putting ways to contact you and support your
Mhm.
work in the description so people can continue to support the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get more of those different social media outlets because to me, like you said, I'm about being out here and I forget to post a lot of the different things that we do because it's more about the direct action for me. So
Okay.
now, I'm starting to become better at posting different things on social media instead of just being out here in the community and doing it, but letting the people know I'm out here in the community doing it. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's important. And sometimes you meet some people out there, man.
yeah,
You get a picture with the person that you're meeting,
yes, yeah,
and sometimes it does a lot, because the people out there will appreciate it more than you think.
yeah,
You're meeting
absolutely.
someone that's representing their community, man. They're all excited about just meeting or having a picture with you.
Mhm.
Post it on their page. It's just going to be great.
Yes, and I agree, Doc. I agree.
Okay, great. But I'll definitely put it in the description so they
Okay.
can reach out to you. All right. So my final question is, what impact do you want to have on the world?
Well, it's about leaving that legacy of community. It's about making sure that it's about others and not you. It's about if you have the ability to serve, as Dr. King said, you don't need a superpower. You don't need that. It's just having the ability to want to do it, and that's the whole point that I have the ability to want to do something that's bigger than you, something that can leave a long lasting impact on your community because once you're gone, then you're gone. But if your children can see it, if your grandchildren can see it, if your family members can see it, and people that you help can see it and continue to maintain the things that you've done. I think that's very important. I used to joke with my players all the time when I was coaching. I was like, look, if you guys don't come to my funeral, I'm going to be upset. You're going to have a pissed off ancestor coming after you. But it's different things of that nature. You want to make sure that the things that you have taught to the next generation that they're using it, they're implementing it, and is benefiting them. And that's the only thing that you can really ask for. And I hope that I can leave that type of legacy. And when I'm no longer here, that people can see that and they can see the work that I've done to get to this point.
I think that's important. That's one thing that we all have to aspire to do,
Hmm.
to make that impact where it can benefit other people. I think that's the best thing that we can do with our time here,
Yes,
is to be of service and to create a legacy that impact others in a positive way. I think,
absolutely, Doc.
that's one of the best things that we can do with our time. But
Yes.
Mr. Tillman, man, it's a great conversation, I tell you. When you look at the time and you realize that time have passed,
Yeah.
uh,
It moves
so
quick when you're having a good conversation. I didn't even
that's
notice the time.
that's right. That's right. That's right. But as you know, as always, man, the goal is to get individuals here that
Hmm.
are first doing the work and want to see a difference, and someone who really care about
Yes.
people on a whole
Hmm.
and want to make a difference, especially as a Black man, and to let others know what is possible through our examples. I think that is
Yes.
important. So that's one of the goal for the Black Male Impact, just to have Black males here who really and truly want to make a difference. And again,
Yes.
I want to say thank you for being here.
Yes. And I appreciate the opportunity, Doc. And I want you to know that I respect what you're doing. I think you're doing a great job. I
Thank you.
think more and more people need to start seeing what you're doing because it's important work. It's great work. And it's putting Black men in a different perspective and is allowing Black men to tell their stories. And you're doing a great job with it. So I tell people about it. I like the page. I subscribe to it. I try to tell people to share it. So I'm going to continue to support you. And I want to say thank you for everything that you're doing.
Man, it's a pleasure. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And
Mhm.
listeners, as always, our goal is to bring guests here that we believe will share information, insights, and perspective that can benefit all of us as we continue to press forward on this journey. Continue to support us here at the Black Male Impact. Like, share, and support in whatever way you find possible. We love the support as we continue to make the difference that matters. Thank you.